Okay. Any questions? Go ahead and stand, sir.
I'm from Kern County, drove up here.
Okay.
It's also down in Long Beach 3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
When are you going to start a group in Kern County?
So we're looking to do that probably sometime June, July. We're trying to go up and down. What was remarkable is what I told Chuck was when we started this up, I said, here's what's going to happen. There'll be one county that will be, okay, let's do this, and then 2 counties, and then it's going to be everybody at once. Can you come next weekend? So we're trying to pace it by going up and down the state because believe it or not, we actually, and this is kind of the bane of my existence, we do 2/3 of all our events are north of Fresno. But we get accused of being focused on Southern California, and the good people of San Diego and Imperial and Orange are like, you guys hate us and you're in our backyard, but you only do like a half a dozen events here. So we try to spread it around and go, and even though we have a staff of 16, often like this weekend, right now, we're at 14 different locations statewide. So we're trying to get to everybody, but this takes a little bit of groundwork because we have to find somebody like Todd that has a space so we don't waste money. Then we have to get the word out. And then it's trying not to put it on the same night as a Friends of NRA banquet, which unfortunately that happened here, or on the same night of a Rocky Mountain Elk banquet or a CDA banquet. When you put the banquet schedule together, doesn't leave many opportunities, so we have to kind of play with the map a little bit. So that's what Sarah's been working on, trying to get that done back there. So she'll probably, if you email her, we'll have a date for you, probably sometime in the middle of next week. We'll release the next 15 of them.
Have you guys talked to the California Ski Shooters Association?
There is our new guy, Jason Martheus, is going to be talking to them. We talked to him about a year and a half ago. And then we backed off a little bit, some stuff going on in the Olympics. And because this has been a plague for us, we've had 3 different people for ranging competitive shooting sports. One had her family killed in a car accident, and so she had to leave, understandably so, to go take care of her grandparent. Another one came in, got pregnant, and then Jason had been working for us for about 3 months, and then he about passed out in his office and he had a pancreatic attack. And that's why he's not here tonight. So he's supposed to be back on fully, hopefully by middle of next week. And that was one of his like about 15 assignments he has right now. So if you have some contact with that, we'd love to talk with you afterwards. Any other questions?
Just one comment.
Sure.
What you said about the young people learning. We lived in an area 60 miles from here in the mountains who the high school taught 22s. And from the 22s, they had a butcher shop that they taught. That's all been closed down in the last few years.
I had an interesting conversation at Morningside High. In fact, we talked about this the other day. And it was really interesting because I actually went through there. My great-grandfather was a carpenter and did some stuff in the area. And I met one of the school principals there at Morningside High. Really nice gentleman. And we're talking liberal, Democrat, pro-2A, shotgun shooter. And when we started talking, found out where I worked for. He's like, well, I got to show you something. I'm always a little leery when that happens. I'm like being taken out to the woodshed. And go out, and we started walking, and there were holes in the practice field for the football thing. He goes, you know what those are? I said, well, they kind of look like holes where targets went. And he said, yeah, we used to have a .22 rifle program here. I'm thinking, in Lawndale? And he's like, yeah. And I go, when did that end? So what do you think that ended, that program? Where people lettered. And in fact, it was the second biggest lettering opportunity next to football on their campus. What year do you think that ended? 84. And that's another one of those myths. A lot of people are like, this stuff ended back in the 40s and 50s. No, it didn't. In fact, Long Beach Milliken, up until this last year, had a 24-bay high-powered air rifle. And I say high-powered because some of those air rifles were shooting in excess of 800 feet a second. So that's pretty decent. And that was going up until about 6 months ago, and I got a new principal that shut it down. And interestingly, gang violence has went up, just like it was before they put the program in when it went down. So it's a correlation kind of there. And we're working on getting it back. Any other questions? Well, okay. Yeah.
Where would you find out about the program you were talking about where you get the young hunters in and teach them and take them out and actually?
I will have my card. I'll be at the back of the room for a little bit before I go over to Lemoore to the Friends of NRA dinner to say hi. But you can either call me or you can call Sarah. Right now, the 2 camps we're going to be doing this summer that we're focusing on that program, and it's co-ed. We normally limit it to 12 to 17, but we've had an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old attend and did fine. But what we look for is what the parents or grandparents, whoever the guardian is how mature they are. Because honestly, I've seen 14-year-olds that have the maturity level of a 5-year-old, and I've seen 8-year-olds have a maturity level of some of us in this room. So that's part of what we look at. But that program happens at Camp 3 Falls, which is right as you're going through the Grapevine. You go by Fraser Park, and it's up there, and we work at that camp and set it up. And so there's 3 camps there. There's a week-long camp that we do in June where kids come up and they learn pistol, rifle, shotgun, archery, and tomahawk throwing, and then they hunt the last day. And then we do the 2-3-day upland game birds with dogs and introduce them to that. Because one of the things we're fighting in the state is the Humane Society would like to eliminate all dogs on hunting by the end of the decade. I've actually had a couple of colorful fights. I'll give you a couple of arguments you can give. I have a great hunting dog. Rocky is a yellow lab. I got told that when Rocky goes hunting, he intimidates and causes pheasants to have rapid heart rate. It has been said I can be a bit of a smart mouth at times, so I actually got up and asked Miss Faring, I'm like, so do you guys go out and like dart the pheasants, put little cardiology units on them, and then let the dogs go out to verify that, or is this all hearsay from a pheasant? Because this is just stupid. The second argument actually happened in my hometown and fell into this one. This is why you have to check everything. So my wife tries me. The church we go to is a pretty good sized church, and they have a bulletin. I don't usually read the bulletin. I rely on her for that. And I missed that there was a big coyote meeting. And so I go down to talk to one of the pastors about getting the youth out to go hunting, because that's what I was there for. And he's like, well, speaking of hunting, there's a big coyote problem that they're talking about. And I walk in, and it's this lady from PETA. And the minute I walk in, and really at this point, I'm not sure what's going on with this meeting yet. I walk in, she's like, you're here. And I'm like, well, that's a great way to start off a meeting. And she goes up to the microphone for 3 minutes, and 1 full minute was, don't let him, be me, talk because he's got blood on his hands. He kills animals. And the people with the most blood on their hands should not be able to talk on this subject. And I was like, I love her. So a couple of people are looking at me because I got this giddy smile that I get on my face, and everybody's like, why is he so happy? And so I walk up, and it's city council and people, and I know a couple of them, I said, remember what Susan said. The person with the most blood on their hands, you shouldn't listen to anything. And they're city council people, so what do you think they're doing? And they're looking at me. And I go, hunters take less than 6 to 7% of the tags. PETA, in Orange County alone, kills 99.7% of the animals they take in. Therefore, don't listen to anything she said because she told you not to. And then I continued with my presentation. So a bunch of laughter and claps, and that was good. But that's something to remember. A lot of those little animals that they show on Sunday mornings on TV didn't live much longer after the taping of that show. And that's a reality. And also, Governor Brown said this last year, hunters actually have done 99% of the conservation work since the 1930s in this state. And that's another message we got to get out to that 90%.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yep.
One of the things that I think you've heard tonight is, for example, the Humane Society in the 10-year program to stop all dog hunting. They have a plan. They have an attack plan to get their agenda done. The 2A community is a shotgun approach, and they're not focused. They're not out there with their goals set. And that's kind of why we have chosen to team up with the CRPA, because we believe that they have a multi-pronged approach to education, to LDF, legal defense funds, to getting the word out and lobbying the state. And more than I've seen in any other organization, especially with the support of the NRA now with their ILA and working with Chuck Michelle's office. But we have to get focused. We have to get in there. And yes, if every gun owner voted a 2A ticket on the elections, we would rock this state. But there's some disconnect out there that we have to watch out for. One of the things that I'm trying to do is, there's a couple things that I'm trying to work with the CRPA to do is, we're going to try and do another Brando fund, and we're working to try and get some special entertainment here, rather than doing a dinner, because who wants to have another steak dinner and hear loud auctions and stuff, okay? How about a night at the Fox Theater with some special speakers, and all the money to benefit the K-9 programs for the city of Lemoore, Hanford, and Kings County with the Brando Fund and with Dr. Fawcett. We're working on that for the fall. Also, I am working hopefully to get David Valadeo in here for a forum night just like this, to talk about his opinions on certain issues right now. He's indicated he wants to do it, so I'm going to take him at his word, and we're going to get him scheduled here hopefully in the next month or two to come in. I don't think Devin has the patience right now to come in here and listen to people, but I'm pretty sure I can get David in here to do that. Thank you all for coming tonight. I hope you learned something tonight. If you do have any other questions of the Gun Center or of the laws coming out, we do have a lot of things happening at the Supreme Court. The one that I'm most concerned with is the Ishii rule right now, the Fresno lawsuit that is now finally past the Ninth Circuit and now heading towards the Supremes. I like saying the Supremes, I don't know why. But hopefully if you own a handgun, if you have a CCW or you have a COE, you won't have to wait 10 more days to get that next gun, which is ridiculous. Also, the other one that's coming pretty quick would be the Peruta decision, which is that one. And then the final one was microstamping rule is also coming up for a judgment also. A law that was passed by Arnold Schwarzenegger and then delayed and then implemented by the Brown administration under Kamala Harris, which is bad technology, if that's a good word for it, is maybe up for review. And if we can, even I'm told, and maybe this is a lie, I don't know, but even the guy that invented the microstamping says it won't work on a firing pin head. He said that in the very beginning, but they only want to hear the things they want to hear, correct? So if we can get that overturned, we could start seeing more Smith & Wesson guns, more Ruger guns, a lot more things happening. But if they get the 30-day rule on the long guns coming through, then it puts a whole nother mess on what we're doing here. We have tried to be the very best indoor range and gun store, from the old store to this store, with the best possible service and staff that we can here, and we're happy to help you guys. But the longer they keep raising taxes and the more guns they restrict from you guys, just makes our existence much more difficult here at the King's Gun Center. We're going to keep on fighting the good fight. We're going to be teaming up with these guys, and we are so happy that you came here tonight, and thank you for enjoying a forum night here at the King's Gun Center. Yes, sir.
How about give us a quick rundown on that Roundup program you were...
The Roundup program. Basically, how many ever been to Panda Express? Anybody go to Panda Express? What does that lady ask you every time you finish there at the cash register? For who? Children's hospitals. Every single time, right? Well, that's how some of these Earth First people and these Sierra Group people, and that's how they get their big funding, because all these little companies and all these people, they go, you're saving the whales? Oh, that's so sweet. Right? Right? So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, there's got to be a way we can figure out, we can start funding the fight easier and make it simpler for people. Now, rounding up for us is called Roundup for Gun Rights. It benefits the legal branch of the CRPA. And whenever you come into the store, if they don't ask you, tell me, because I will grind it in them. Would you like to round up for gun rights? Basically, if it's a $15.22 charge, we'd make it $16, and that 78 cents gets put in a special account. We have a button on our computer that I can tell you right now exactly how much we've collected this month so far. At the end of the month, we just write a check to the CRPA for the amount that you guys want to round up to. Now, my buddy over in San Jose at Mil-Spec Armory, the first day he did it, he's teamed up. He's the second store to come on this. He had a guy come up. He had a 5-cent difference on his ticket, so he was like 95 cents, right? And he goes, you know what? Make it $5.05. Oh, great. And they made it $5.05. He paid it with his credit card or whatever he paid it with, and he was happy to do that. Could you imagine if we had 500 or 1,000 gun stores in California? rounding up for gun rights and the kind of money we could start pushing towards organizations fighting for our rights, it'd be like that $1 per person. It would be like that over the long haul, over the year. Like I said, in the first month we had, our employees are still kind of getting used to it, saying it. We have it there at each register. You can see it as you're walking out here. But it's simply, would you like to round up for gun rights? And people normally say, oh, yeah, 25 cents, whatever, sure, great. But at the end of the day, we did 112 transactions last month that people said yes, and it was over $70 that we collected. Now, does that seem like a lot? No. But $70, 25 cents at a time, or 55 cents at a time, that's quite a bit. And if every store was, let's say 1,000 stores in California were doing it, including Bass Pro Shops or all those guys, that's $70,000 a month going to fight for our rights. It all adds up. Once again, thank you guys for coming. Yes, sir.
I got a suggestion. They also do the little things where you can sign your name on it for $1. They do that.
Oh yeah, like a little bullet or something like that. We could do that.
Children's Doctoral Network.
Yeah, little balloons that you see all over the place and those things.
Best Buy, they do that.
And then they post them on the wall
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But you can even have something like that when you're going into the range where you buy a little red star, and then you can get it and tape it onto your target and just have something next to the shoot, and you're supporting the cause in another way on top of rounding up.
I like this guy. I like this guy. Thank you. Absolutely, I love
Red
it.
stars, like when you go to the carnival, they're just attractive.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to shoot that little red star.
Little piece of paper on it and go for it, huh? A tape on it. That's great. Any other questions, guys? Great. Rick and Sarah will be in the back here if you have any more questions. Make sure there's some other literature you can get there. And once again, thank you again for coming tonight. It's been a great time. Let's see if we can get David over here in the next month or two.